I've got to put the crown on my head.
Yes, Your Majesty. Dad!
Sorry, Your Majesty. I thought the Queen should have an orb and sceptre, as well as a crown at her coronation.
What's it for, though?
The orb and sceptre? I'm not sure. But they always have them at the coronation.
What is a coronation, Dad?
It's when a king or queen is crowned. We don't have them very often. The last time we had one was in 1953. That's 15 years before I was born. Your gran said it was the best day of her life.
That would have to be really special, wouldn't it, Dad?
I think it was. Like a big party for the whole country. This photo belongs to your gran. It's the Queen on the balcony at Buckingham Palace after the coronation.
How'd you get to be Queen?
Time treasures, my pleasures, tell me people long ago. Time treasures, my pleasures, pick one open, off we go.
The Time Treasure Room. Wow! This is amazing! Jack, look! But why is it in black and white?
Because they didn't have colour television 40 years ago. Isn't it marvellous? It's the television broadcast of the coronation. It's one of my very precious time treasures. Oh, dear. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't startle you. Well, you do remember me, don't you? Cleo, keeper of the time treasures. Oh, I like your crown, Rose. And what are these?
My orb and sceptre. We were playing Kings and Queens.
Come and have a look at this. The crown jewels.
You didn't steal the crown jewels.
No, no. These are just copies of the real thing. Aren't they splendid?
But what are they for?
Well, the crown is a sign that the Queen has been trusted with a very difficult and important job. The crown jewels remind her of how she should behave as a ruler.
But I thought if you were Queen, you could do what you liked.
Oh, yes, well, she does have a lot of power, but she still has to be fair. The sceptre reminds her to treat her people fairly.
And the orb?
Well, the orb stands for the world. And that was when she wore the crown for the first time. The coronation of Queen Elizabeth, June the 2nd, 1953.
But how did she get to be Queen in the first place?
Well, Queen Elizabeth just happened to be born into a royal family. Her grandfather was King George V. I'm sure there's some photos somewhere. Oh, dear. This always seems to happen. There's no peace for a time traveller, you know. Now, why don't you put some of those photos in the Time Treasure Illuminator and ask a few questions? Hey, enjoy yourselves. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Aren't these jewels so pretty? Do you think it's real gold?
Of course it is.
I wonder if this is the Queen as a baby. Why don't you put it in the illuminator and find out?
Queen Elizabeth was born in 1926, when her grandfather, King George V, was king. This photo was taken in 1928, when her parents took her out onto the balcony of Buckingham Palace to show her to the people of London. Her sister, Princess Margaret, was born 4 years later.
Do you think think she knew she was going to be Queen when she was a child? Why don't you ask?
When did Princess Elizabeth know she would be Queen?
When Princess Elizabeth was 10 years old, her father became King George VI. She knew then that she would be Queen one day because she was the oldest daughter of the king. Princess Elizabeth and her sister, Princess Margaret, went to the coronation and joined their father and mother, the king and queen, on the balcony of the palace.
I wonder when she actually became Queen.
When Princess Elizabeth grew up, she got married to Prince Philip and had children of her own, Prince Charles and Princess Anne. In 1952, she went for a holiday in Africa. And while she was there, she got the news that her father had died. She became Queen on that same day, the 6th of February, 1952. It was a very sad day and a very happy day, both at the same time.
How can you be happy and sad at the same time?
Shh. She came home to her father's funeral knowing that she was no longer just Princess Elizabeth, but the Queen of Great Britain and all the other countries in the British Commonwealth. It was a very important job that she would have for life. There are 3 queens in that picture.
3?
Yes. Queen Elizabeth, her mother, and her grandmother, Queen Mary. Must have been very sad for Elizabeth. She was only 25 years old.
But if she was already Queen, why did she need a coronation?
Well, it was a way of showing her people that she agreed to serve them as their queen. She rode in a golden coach from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey, where she promised to be a good queen. Thousands and thousands of people came from all over the world just to be there.
I'd love to see the Queen go by in her golden coach.
Oh, well, I suppose it is about time for a spot of time travelling. Okay, Jack? Now, let's look at the old broadcast of the coronation,
Did they have television in 1953?
Well, only just. And there was only one channel, the BBC, and it was in black and white. Now, let's just try and imagine what it was like to be there. Off we go.
See more than 30,000 school children cheering their heads off, having the time of their lives on this coronation day, as they see all the Queen's horses and men going by. Now let's hear the band of the Grenadier Guards.
This is fun! Look at all the people!
You're on the route of the procession from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey. The Queen will be coming by very soon.
And now the Queen's escort of officers of the colonial contingents from Malaya, from West Africa, from the northwest frontier of Pakistan.
Look! Beefeaters from the Tower of London!
And now the yeomen of the guard. And the children really shriek their heads off for their precious beefeaters, splendid in scarlet with their ancient uniforms. And at last, the coach to which all eyes have been waiting.
Here she comes! Here she comes! It's the Queen!
So they've seen the Queen on her coronation day. A memory that's going to live surely with those children for their whole lives.
Hooray! Hooray!
Now, how was that?
Oh, Cleo, we're back. I thought we were really there.
Oh, you were, in your imagination. Wasn't it wonderful?
I'm sure she waved straight at me. No wonder Gran thought it was the best day of her life.
Poor Gran. She only watched it on telly.
Well, it was probably almost as special to be watching television in 1953.
Watching telly?
Oh, yes. Not many people had TVs then. The Coronation was the first big event that was on the television, and lots of people bought television sets, especially to see it.
Can we see the Queen being crowned?
Would you like to see it on the television?
You mean here, in the time treasure room?
Well, what about in your Gran's living room in 1953?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay, then. Now, off we go.
The Queen has received all the royal vestments. She now receives the priceless and beautiful crown jewels, culminating in the crown itself.
This is your Gran's family at home. There's your Gran on the floor with her brother. And that's her mum and dad. Your great-grandparents. They've invited some neighbours in to watch the actual coronation at Westminster Abbey.
Receive this orb set under the cross, and remember that the whole world is subject to the power and empire of Christ our Redeemer. Receive the royal scepter, the ensign of kingly power and justice.
Mum, look, they're bringing the crown.
Oh, doesn't she look beautiful?
Should we have a toast? God save the Queen.
God save the Queen.
After she'd watched it on TV, your Gran told me she went to a street party. They had tea and races, and they all got presents. Sounds great, doesn't it?
It was. God save the Queen!
Foreman sat a coach and crown. The streets were crowded in London town. The whole wide world in a suit and gown.
At the same time, 10:30 next Tuesday, Watch will be looking at places of worship in the first of 3 programmes in which Christianity is explored.